Once again, on a beautiful Sunday evening, we are with the fifth episode of TildeTalks. TildeTalks is a tech video podcast series happening every Sunday by the techies for the techies, in which we will be inviting a techie and we'll discuss a new hot tech topic in each episode. The discussion is structured to be tech focused but in a storytelling conversational fashion. This show is sponsored by Tilda and myself, Pranav, the tech host for this show. In this episode, we'll be discussing the cyber security, in which you can get the answers for what is it, how should anyone start learning, what are all the career opportunities in this domain, and a lot more. As usual, we have a lot of questions prepared for our guest. And if you have any questions in cybersecurity, you can comment below. We'll definitely take up your questions. To answer all our questions and give a lot of information in cybersecurity, we have our guest, Mr. Shakil Sharma, the founder of Astra Security Suite. Hi, Shakil. Welcome to our show.
Hi, Pranav.
You can introduce
Thanks
yourself
for
to
having
all our viewers.
Great. Thanks a lot, Pranav, again. Hi, everyone. I'm Shikhil, founder of Astra Security. We help businesses secure their websites and entire infrastructure from cyber attacks. Every month, our security suite Astra stops around 7 to 8 million threats or detects 2 to 3 million malware, like some really nasty malware, like credit card stealing malware from e-commerce stores, and uncovers 80,000 plus vulnerabilities on various web systems every month. So that's the impact that we are maximum proud of. Like small businesses to public companies use our solutions. And the great part I think here is that I also started in cybersecurity when I was about your age, undergraduating or just graduated or teenage. Like I was like in teenage when I started with hacking and cybersecurity. So I exactly know what the audience or you guys might be feeling at this stage. So happy to help with my experience.
So, my first question is why cybersecurity? And what gave you the spark for starting a startup in this early stage?
Sure. So I think the first part of the question, why cybersecurity? Usually, everyone gets attracted to hacking. It's never security you get attracted to, right? It's like the movie Doom, like or Die Hard, right? Where villains were like the cool guys. So security is something similar. I think security feels as if you have a little superpower with yourself, with the knowledge of web systems, that you can actually use that superpower to break into the systems and all that. That looks a little, of course, breaking into the systems can get you into like massive trouble, but when you have that little interest or curiosity to know how the system works, that can quickly through, yeah, like if you're ethical, it'll turn into the other side of things where you'll actually become a security expert. So that's exactly what happened with me. One of the first websites where I found vulnerability was like an army institute's website, where a lieutenant general came back to me thanking for the reporting the vulnerability, being the good guy, and there has been no looking back ever since. I mean, I met my co-founder in the university, and then we started finding vulnerabilities in big companies, and eventually a product, a SaaS solution, a product in cybersecurity happened. So the fact that cybersecurity is an ever evolving, ever changing industry, that's the most exciting part of it. And if you choose to be a part of cybersecurity industry, you'll always be in your toes, right? So it won't be a monotonous job at all. That in itself is an excellent reason to look forward to the Monday after the weekend, not going back to job, because you're going to be hacking stuff legally, like, and being paid for that. So that's amazing. That's the best part of cybersecurity.
Okay. So, you have been awarded by our Honorable Indian Prime Minister and from the French President, and you have been listed in the Hall of Fame of Adobe, Microsoft, Yahoo, and a lot of tech giants too. So, how do you feel after getting an award? Can you share us a lot about that particular experiences?
Sure. So Definitely, it was a very an honorable experience, especially when getting rewarded and facilitated by Prime Minister of India and President of France. That is something that neither me, my co-founder Anand had imagined in our wildest dream that would happen. But I think uh, we had somewhere paid the price for it before that. Like we were had been like with our heads down worked and built solution and system which led to that, and it was a good reward to good to see being rewarded that way. So definitely a great experience. And the fact that such head of states like India and France are so directly interested in cybersecurity means that the industry as a whole has a great future, and I'm glad that we were one of those examples where they were able to show that rewarding two young entrepreneurs who are doing something in cybersecurity. So always a great experience.
So we have a question from one of our viewer. So is there any right data governance strategy to minimize the cyber risk with
Sure.
respect to
So
India?
yes, so I think data governance part, the viewer wants to talk about on country level. I think if you would have seen the 15th August speech of the Prime Minister himself, he briefly talked about cybersecurity and even mentioned that India is on the verge of revising their cybersecurity policy, which initially came in 2013. So after that, there was a Digital India initiative, and under that Digital India initiative, a cybersecurity task force for India was formed, like professionals from young entrepreneurs to industry leaders to people from NASCOM. And I happened to be a part of that little committee that was supposed to give their findings to the Prime Minister and Digital India initiative. So from there, what I gathered was that definitely India is very serious about the India's data governance strategy, and at the same time, be it MIT or Indian government institutions, like the top officials there, are very pursuant of asking all these global companies, be it Ubers or Amazons or big companies of the world, requesting them and even making changes on policy level to make sure that the data they are collecting from Indians stays in servers which are located in India, which in itself is a great step by the government and shows that how serious they are about data of their users and it going outside India. Or again, the China situation is something that all of us have been hearing a lot about. So definitely that also tells that they are very conscious of the fact that Indian users data should not go to Chinese companies until they are able to prove like what exactly is happening with that data. So definitely yes, India is relentlessly working towards strong data governance strategy.
Good to hear. Good to hear the positive side of it. So we have another question from Tejas. What is the average salary of a cyber security expert? What could
Great.
be it?
Absolutely. I mean, I was definitely expecting that question. So Tejas, I think it's relative. It's very since you not necessarily mentioned India in the thing. So in the question, the salary can vary a lot. Like if you're someone who's done a number of courses in cybersecurity, which are very niche courses and prestigious courses, then you automatically put yourself in that elite group of people who've attained those degrees. Like a friend of mine did one of those offensive security certification, which certification in itself costed a lakh or a half, right? So that is something that not a lot of people around like in India would have that certification, and it's a very tough exam. Like he also cleared that exam in like after giving twice. So if you got such certification, you're already putting yourself in an elite group of people who've done that. Then like you can expect any salary, like definitely upwards of 12 to 15 lakhs per annum kind of a salary you can expect. But other entry level certifications like certified ethical hacker, which has like fans and like people who are not a fan of the certification also, but it's a great place to start your career, and that is like a bare minimum if you want to begin a career. But again, a big disclaimer here would be that like in our hiring also, we do not give a lot of preference to certification, just the talent. So in terms of salary, I haven't seen even a starting salary of less than 5 to 6 lakhs. Someone who's just beginning a career also, and it only goes upward from there.
So, what other qualities do you see if you are hiring for your team? Uh,
Sure. So I think one of the kind of organizations that we work with, a lot of sensitive, like organizations who have a lot of sensitive data and not really caring about security, or who have e-commerce transactions going on. These are organizations that we personally work with. So with that, one of the traits that we massively look for while hiring is that the person should have a very hacker-like mindset. I mean, he should have a mindset of a robber, because uh, whenever someone's like launching an attack on an institution, right? If a company is hiring us, they want us to impersonate hackers so that we hack them and give them a report, instead of they waiting for hackers to and to then do a financial and reputation loss to the company. So for us, we do not put a lot of stress on certifications, but definitely a lot of stress on street cred and what person has done. So one of the common questions that we ask while hiring is that, what's the craziest hack you've pulled that you're most proud of? And like the most creative hacks is are the ones that I often listen and get hired in Astra Security, because and at the same time, sometimes I would like to mention that sometimes certifications also matter, because if you're like working with an organization, they have compliance requirements where they say that someone who's testing XYZ application needs to be having minimum this certification. So you can't just, if you got a certification, you definitely have all the bases covered when going for a potential job interview.
okay. So, you said that you will be asking what is the craziest hack that you have done for an interviewee, right? So, what is your craziest hack ever that you have done?
Okay, let's see. So, one of the hacks that I as a student got paid for was founding a critical vulnerability which got database access of one of the subdomains, like famous subdomains of Yahoo. So that got us a few $1,000s in bounty, and we had database access of that website of that Yahoo owned. And other one has been this one's something that I don't tell about a lot, but we like me and my co-founder both realized sometime in 2017 and 18. At that time, we were in Europe, and we realized that we had a lot of traveling to do in the next 6 months to 1 year. Like we had to be in the US, then an India trip came up, and then we had to be in Berlin. So we realized that we're going to be spending a lot on air travel. So we thought of doing something interesting. We like one weekend when we were at home. This is in Paris, I think, and we thought that okay, we don't go out this weekend. We're gonna find ways to make our travel like free for the next 6 months, which has been planned. So we found a couple of critical vulnerabilities in United, the US Airlines a website, and one of the most like biggest and most famous loyalty programs is what do we call it, Star Alliance, and United is the one that initiated that, and Air India and all the major like good airlines of the world are part of Star Alliance program. And United, we reported the vulnerability to United, and they ended up paying us, between me and my founder, a total of 500,000 worth of miles. So we got like massive free travel credits for the next 1 or 2 years wherever we traveled around the globe. So that was really cool. Now there were like some hacks in college that we pulled off, right from hacking the ERP system, attendance system to gate pass system, but I won't go there. And we reported that to the university after graduating, or I think during when we were graduating, and even within the 6 months of we graduating university also became our client. So that was really cool.
Oh, nice. So, what are all the different kind of hacks that anyone should know?
Sure. So I think in this, I would try to keep it a lot uh, more centric to an end user who's not necessarily a techie, because I think these days a lot of these scams are on the rise, and I'm sure everyone must have seen this Netflix show called Jamtara. I didn't necessarily see, but I knew what was it all about. So that was one thing. That is one thing that you have to be very careful about. Uh, 3 to 4 types of hacks that I've been massively seeing going around these days, since they're even on a rise since the COVID situation, because they know that people are at home, more available and more connected to the internet and through devices which are home devices and not as secure as their office devices. Hackers know this and they're targeting such situations even more. So one hack that I've continuously seen happen and is that if you put something on OLX for sale, you'll get a message on your the moment you put it, like within minutes, you'll say that you'll get a message or a call saying that, hey, I'm interested in this. Uh, I don't know, bicycle that you've put. And this is an exact example that I'm telling you that happened. Me and my CEO, Joel, were traveling for a meeting, and he was selling his bicycle because he wasn't using it anymore. So he put that in OLX, and I joked with him because I knew the scam. I told him that in 5 minutes you're gonna get a message saying that I'm gonna be buying this cycle, and I'll be taking this cycle in 5 days time, but I'm going to give you an advance of, like, 2-3,000 rupees, and he was selling cycle for 50,000, 15,000 or something. And like, to my surprise, I was just joking, and that exactly the same thing happened. Like, we were in a car, and within 5 minutes he gets a message saying that, hey, I'm interested in the cycle you are selling. Okay, what sector you are selling in? He said, okay, this sector. He said, okay, on Saturday my brother would come and pick it up, but I want to book it because I love the cycle right now. I want to book it right now so that you don't give it to anyone else. Can I pay you in advance? He said, okay. And he said that, okay, give me your Google Pay, I'll pay you the money. Ujjwal sent the Google Pay. And turns out they are totally exploiting social engineering, where rather than sending money, he sent a request for money to be credited from Ujjwal's account, right? To be debited from Ujjwal's account. So uh, most 9 out of 10 times the way Google Play's UX works is that a person clicks on the button and he thinks that he's going to be accepting money, and turns out people click on that button, and just like that, through their finger lock or whatever lock they've put for as an authorization mechanism, the money goes to the hacker. And these guys then they change their numbers and say that like people ended up getting scammed. That is one. And second major hacks, this is very important for teenagers and young people. Uh, we've seen a lot of times what would happen is that you would get an email saying, and it would look like very legit email with proofs saying that you were having your email ID got hacked, and I've managed to install something on your computer, and I've been recording your PC for the next 1 month, and I have like some explicit content about you, and I've caught you doing XYZ things because I had hacked your webcam, and now I'm going to be sending this information to your friends and family and put it on social media on YouTube. If you don't want to do that, reply to this email ASAP and pay this much Bitcoin on this Bitcoin address. Now, do not get scared of such emails. There would be times when such emails also land up in your inbox. So do not get scared. Do not reply. Just put them out of the inbox, in trash, in spam. How this hack works is, a lot of services are available where they can Google, like, they put your email address, and that service tells you if that email address has been hacked ever or not. So if you use the same password of some account that gotten hacked, and you've used the same password on different places, they are able to brute force their way that, okay, Shikhil has this email, he must have used this password here also. So you see the password that you might have used somewhere on some other account or on this email earlier, and you believe that okay, this guy is like literally hacked because he's telling the correct password, but he's completely lying about the fact that he's hacked your PC or webcam. That's not true. So please ignore such things, and like all these guys are just scammers. So like multiple such hacks going around, and they most of the people who get tricked into that are people who are not at all tech savvy, and this includes either too young people or people post 40s 50s who are our generation who wasn't tech savvy, like who are not in touch with computers a lot. So please educate them also on this one.
So, yes, what do you think about the major Twitter Bitcoin scam which is happening? It has affected till from the big corporates like Apple, Uber, to our Prime Minister Modi. Everyone got affected, the major peoples. So, what do you
Correct.
think about it?
So that's a very nice question, and the same thing, the incident that I was describing, where they email you, sending you your password and asking for ransom money, that is essentially called social engineering with a little tech flavor because they were a little tech savvy. And social engineering essentially means manipulating a person based on some information or creating certain circumstances that and that lead to a person, a victim, ending giving some personal or valuable information to you, right? So that is social engineering. And from what Twitter actually said about Bill Gates and all these big guys' accounts getting hacked, this was all a part of big social engineering campaign that was carried out on a Twitter employee. So Twitter employees, like internal credentials were, or some internal information was gathered, and he was manipulated into giving some personal information and eventually getting hacked, which led to people putting these tweets on, using these big verified accounts. And at the end of it, I think hackers made some $100,000 or something, because just because Twitter and sorry, Bill Gates and Elon Musk were asking to pay Bitcoin. So yeah, so just we make sure that in the end, sadly, humans are the weakest link. So if we are educated enough, we would not be the weakest links. And these guys, usually hackers brute force their way. They won't. You're not the like that. They're not personalizing the hack a lot to you. They're blasting hundreds and thousands of emails every day, every week. So if you're like better than 90% of the other people, you're doing a great job. So like, and being better than those 90% people isn't that difficult. Just little awareness is required from your side.
So, if I have a website and if my website is getting hacked as an individual, what should be my next steps?
Got it. So if you actually start using a security solution, you'll realize that it's a. I've seen people who even start using Astra Security. At their first reaction, if they've never been hacked, still as a preventive measure, they are using it. Their first reaction is absolute surprise. They 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 say that I had no clue there were so many attackers and bots who were trying to get into my website, because it's not that some a Russian or a Chinese hacker is sitting in his little office or room and or in a basement and saying that I'm going to hack this small business's website which is in some random place in the other part of the world. That's not how it works. Hackers have become really smart. They end up automating all the hacks and writing Python scripts and all that by they keep scraping websites around the globe and sending fake bots to the website to test for various vulnerabilities. And a lot of times people think that I'm getting so much traffic on my website and still visitors aren't converting. Now turns out a lot of times that traffic is like bot traffic. So first of all, having preventive security is super important. And like you asked, like if you've like gotten hacked, you're facing security problem, the first and the foremost thing would be to minimize the surface. And I would say the first step you have to take is like put your website in maintenance mode, so that if at all hackers have put something like a credit card stealing malware or a redirecting malware that redirects user to some other malicious website that steals their personal data, that would stop happening. So first and the foremost thing would be put a maintenance page or normal page that will soon be back, and there are services available for such stuff like I think PagerDuty does that, or there are some services that if they detect that your website is down, they automatically change your website's domain name server to their own domain name servers, which puts a maintenance page there. So use something like that so to minimize the losses. Second step would be to actually analyze what went wrong, like a complete malware scan, a complete security audit would be required to find vulnerabilities and to ensure that like injectors or the bad code that hackers would have injected, that is like no more in the website. And then of course add firewalls and malware scanner using and to make sure that going forward your website is secure. So I think security is something that works best in layers, and next step should be very like cautious of the fact. And you guys, like if you have a website, I'm sure you are working with developers, keep asking your developers what are they doing for security, like make it a question that you always ask them, so that it forces them to think that this person security conscious, we need to do five different things. That also helps, like, but it has to start from you.
Understood. So we have a question from a viewer.
Sure.
If somebody is using the AWS, he is using AWS to run his business. So i- whether the basic security provided by AWS is sufficient enough. So that is his question.
Got it. Hey Imran. So nice question. I mean, very interestingly, we've been seeing two things in AWS security space. Let me tell you, we've been seeing massive hacks happening around badly configured AWS buckets and badly configured GitHub and open repos. So two things I would recommend. And when I say badly configured, I mean multi-million dollar businesses having all the data, like their entire servers, databases, vulnerable and open to the world because of badly configured buckets. So I would recommend be very cautious of that. And same is for GitHub repo files. Do not put them out there. They are like it's very easy for hackers to write scripts to scrape those and see that if you have those open on your website, and to exploit it, they don't have to do anything. It all happens within 15 minutes and the losses are massive. So that is one thing that I've been seeing a lot. And second is like on the preventive side, we've been seeing a huge rise in the customer base coming to us in terms of who've been asking for AWS security audits and have been very crazy on that. So what I would recommend here is that Imran, of course, having basic security features in AWS is definitely needed. Another thing, if you're a little tech savvy like I see that you are, I would recommend you to go through this document called CIS benchmarks. Now, CIS benchmarks are some like it's a standard. It is becoming eventually a standard where they benchmark the configurations as well as security of AWS. So see CIS benchmarks as a checklist that you have to meet to ensure that your AWS instances are secure. So if you do that, I think you would be better than a number of other businesses, and that should put you in a good spot. But on top of that, be sure to use a firewall. All your content, like uploads that are happening on your application, which is running on AWS server, should be happening on another AWS instance, which is not running has no PHP, no basically no application level service installed on it. It should be a totally what do we call it, a static server. Should not allow anything to run on it, just uploads and all. That way people upload shells which get them complete server access. You would be protecting yourself from such attacks. And if you're using a what do we call it, CDNs or providers who actually take care of file upload security. There are a number of services available for that. So Upload Safe is one of them. I think you can use those services also on AWS. So that should help you. But CIS benchmarks definitely needed, and then your configuring of IMAP and all those things are also definitely recommended. Not IMAP, I meant IAM. Yeah. So I think that should put you in a better spot.
So, if somebody has to start their learnings in this cybersecurity domain, where should they start?
Got it. So interesting question. I think I would recommend starting. There are a number of certifications or websites that you can start at. First would be to understand what do you actually are interested in security. So one thing I would recommend is, like, if you one thing you have to take away from this conversation is, like, please know the fact that cyber security, like, no one can, I think no one can be a cybersecurity expert ever, because cybersecurity is such a massive field. It's a $170 billion industry which has multiple small segregations, right from network security to application layer security to IoT security, and now we're going to be talking about 5G connected devices. And then you could spend your entire life just securing smart homes or even cars or aeroplanes. I mean, we've seen aeroplanes, systems getting hacked, smart cars getting hacked. Your Tesla got hacked a couple of months ago. So malware analysis is another thing. Wireless security is this thing. So all these are in itself multi-billion-dollar small industries within the big cybersecurity industry. So once you actually start exploring in cybersecurity industry, please make sure that you do a little research and see what each of these subdomains comprises of. And based on that, I'm sure, like, if you have a, let's say, a lot of interest in low level programming languages, then you might find reverse engineering interesting, and you would say, I want to give reverse engineering a try. Or let's say if you have a lot of interest in making websites, or you're a web developer, you might be interested in application security more than, low level languages, so, or reverse engineering. So that way application security might be your thing. If you are a mobile app developer, then mobile app security would be your thing. So when transitioning to cybersecurity or starting cybersecurity, try to figure out what could be your passion. And then one of the good places to start would be Cybrary. Now, Cybray, it's a website which has, like, it's one of the biggest repositories of free cybersecurity courses. So you could, and they have paid courses also, but you could start by taking courses from there, so that you know that uh, uh, a small 5, 10, 15 lectures course would get you know that if you're developing interest in that particular thing. And then you can do more certifications, or like CEH or offensive security, or 5 other different certifications on various niches within the security. But a website like Cybrary would be a great place to start for you. And another final controversial topic that often comes when we talk about cybersecurity is coding background versus no coding background, right? There are, like, especially in engineering colleges, or people coming from technical background, we've always had that thought in our mind, or a friend saying that, that I don't have too much interest in coding, I'm going to do marketing, I'll do SEO and marketing. So uh, similarly, in security industry also, I would like to acknowledge the fact that you can choose to be in cybersecurity industry and be not proficient in coding. That's completely fine. I mean, there's governance, there's policy making, there is licensing, and then there is a lot of aspects of application layer security also. Do not necessarily require you to actually know coding. I mean, I have friends who've been working at big giants who and even consulting firms that, like, big three, big four, big five, that they do a lot of cybersecurity consulting, and the fact that they know the in and outs of the industry is what they are building the cybersecurity careers on. And it's fine that they do not know coding. I mean, they do not necessarily guide developers on writing secure code, but they consult companies of policy making or ensuring that all the security compliances are met. So even on that front, you could do great in your cybersecurity career without having a knowledge of coding per se. And if you know coding, I mean, personally, I think you'll be unstoppable if you know coding. I mean, I've seen uh, m- my co-founder Anand. He knows coding and later entered cybersecurity industry after coding for a few years, and he like the kind of proof of concepts or the kind of hacks that he can prepare are like absolutely delight to watch, like better than Netflix. The kind of proof of concepts of a hack he performs. So if you know coding, that would work like a charm also. So yes, that would be my 2 cents.
So we have one more question from Tejas. If we're hacking a website or an application, how do we find it? The difference between the honeypot and the actual one? And he has an add-on too. So how to make that honeypot more realistic?
Okay, great. That's a nice question, Tejas. And thanks a lot, Imran, for your comment. And so, Tejas, I would say it's a little difficult to tell. I mean, I can't uh, stop thinking from a other side, like not a hacker side, but a security, like someone who has a product which has a small honeypot built in our entire security suite. So I'm thinking from that perspective that what if Astra running our customer's website and hacker gets to know that he's run into a small honeypot that our system provided. So it's a little difficult to know if you hacked a honeypot or an actual one, and how to make honeypot more realistic. I would say, uh, I think you know a little bit of security since you're asking that. Talking about application there, if you're a hacker would always have access to the data within a burp or any proxy like they are using to analyze the get post and HTTP entire request and even the network level UDP and all that. So you would have to if like a lot of times honeypots what they do is like they transfer the traffic or your request to a different system which like impersonates the behavior of a live system. So one of the reasons how you could make honeypot more realistic would be if somehow you're able to make the system look as if the system to which after the intrusion detection system detected that there's a threat, the system where it started to redirect your traffic to the honeypot system has possibly the same I don't know network configurations or same IP. I'm not sure how having the same IP would work, or maybe a different instance within the same IP that a same server instance using the same shared IP could be a potential way to make it more realistic. But that is one way that hackers can actually know that where the request is going is a little different place than the normal one. Yeah, so this is one of those things that maybe I'm not the top guy in honeypot systems per se.
Okay, we'll take one last question from the viewer. It's from Pranesh. So the major companies are moving towards container orchestration. So what are all the challenges in container security?
Absolutely, I mean containerization, Kubernetes, and all these things like are becoming massive, massive. Even IBM has the technology, I think, around. So uh, it is becoming super important for especially enterprises like big companies are banks, financial institutions are working towards containerization and container orchestration. uh, Challenges, I think, how would you like one of the challenges that I think is like again I see a lot of things from a small and medium enterprises perspective because uh, the way I see it is a lot of big companies already are spending a few $1 million in security of their systems, but smaller organizations, it's very difficult for them to actually migrate to these container orchestrations and container environments, basically because of less talent available, as well as less technologies that they use being built for these containered applications, and then managing updates and all those things for even these smaller organizations is a challenge. I mean, a lot of times the way I see things in security industry is from the fact that 90% of these businesses are small and medium enterprises who do not have even one person working in cybersecurity department of theirs. I mean, there's no, like, the department in itself is non-existent. So for them, I think like I would want that those technologies somehow get uh, so friendly that these small organizations are also able to use it. Uh, so I think that would be one of those things. Apart from that, I think, like, in terms of containerization, it's one of those things that we massively suggest people, if they're using multiple applications on the same server, they should containerize it. And that the one we suggest is usually to different permissions and different uh, setting different servers. But what you are saying is a little more enterprisey, and I don't like necessarily from a security point of view see a lot of challenges. It's only a boom towards security because you're able to containerize a potential intrusion in the system also.
Okay. So by this, we can in the particular session. We have come to the end of today's episode. Once again, thank you so much, Shikhil, for answering all our questions. I found this episode very, very informative. Hope all our viewers would have felt the same. The next episode of TildeTalks will be on next Sunday with Jayvardhan, the topic of blockchains. So ending the online meetings are a bit tricky one. So I want you to tell one last message to all our viewers. Once you are finishing that, I'll end the podcast.
Okay, sure. I'll just leave with a question that I often ask. Someone's busy hacking your business. Are you busy protecting it? So that's all I'll say.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's see.